My ex-wife during my divorce has no idea who this person is.
Yeah.
But I'm proud to be this person now and let her see that person.
Absolutely.
Because honestly, she helped me get there too. Helped me get to where I am today, and I had to make those failures before. But when people like, my wife, who we just celebrated 15 years together, she looked at me in the car, Jeff. I can see the parking lot. I can see where we were. It was off Princess Anne. There's a Q Master Billiards and a Hobby Lobby. There's a blank storefront. It was a political place that I used to work at. It was blank storefront, so nobody could come firebomb it. And we were in the car, and I was so hungover. And my beautiful, wonderful now wife looked at me and said, "Are you going to be a loser?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And she meant it with it. She's like,
yeah.
You have so much you're capable of, but you're not.
Oh, that'll rock you to your soul.
Oh, it rocked me to my soul. I see her face still.
Yeah.
Not only at that point did I not realize she was there, I didn't realize I was there.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize she was there and was willing to tell me. And you got to get to a whole nother level and not giving a shit.
That's a
to look
big
to,
level
yeah,
right
like,
there.
Are you? And I was like, she's like, you are capable of ruling the world, but you're the only person stopping yourself from doing it. And I was like, I wanted to argue back, Jeff, but she was right.
Yeah.
And no, I did not become who I wanted to become the day later, but I did 1%.
Yep.
And then 1%.
Yep.
And then 1%. And then that job that she had driven me to that day, I quit 6 months later because they didn't pay me what I was worth.
Yeah.
For what I was giving them.
Yep.
And I tried again. And I tried again. And I tried again. And then finally I was given the opportunity to come to Atlantic Bay Mortgage.
Yep.
Afforded, I mean, when I tell you off the cuff, it afforded to me when I shouldn't have it, there is zero reason I'm sitting here. Zero, except for the kindness and compassion of someone named Stacy.
Yep.
I was at Why Not Wednesday. I had a Wednesday off. Never had Wednesdays off. I was in the restaurant industry.
Yep.
Happened to walk in and say to my kid, let's go to Why Not Wednesday. I brought him. This is 12 years ago. He was 5.
Yeah.
Brought him into town center. We were partying. I think the DeLoreans were playing or something. He was doing some face painting. And out of nowhere, this woman that I worked with at that time, 10 years earlier, gosh, we've known each other 20 years now. 10 years earlier, I had worked at a mortgage company for six and a half minutes back in 2000.
Yep.
And I didn't like it. And she was my boss. And she walked over and she said, Matthew Kirk, have I got a job for you? And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I went from $54,000 a year as a thankless restaurant manager that smelled like French fries and cat urine, crabs.
Yeah.
If you deal with shellfish, you smell like cat urine.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. I literally walked around for 3 solid years smelling of cat urine. Let me tell you, in case you don't know, if you want to feel bad about yourself, add in smelling like cat urine 24/7.
Goodness.
Everyone I walked by was like,
oof.
And it really was like, it was really weird because I don't even know how to explain it. I was so humbled by that portion of it. I was stinky.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was I not accomplishing what I wanted to, I was stinky too. Like, it was like the ultimate of, my God, you have to change your circumstance. I mean, we're to the point where I'm offending people's olfactory nerves by my very presence in life because of what I chose to do. I was working from 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. I was never around my kids.
Yeah.
I was standing in a restaurant once, watching my children and my wife walk away to go to the 4th of July party and thinking, bye. As I stood there reeking of cat urine and 35 pounds overweight, anticipating my next drink.
Yep.
But I got to tell you, Jeff, that pain gives me happiness because I wouldn't ever know who I actually was without that.
Yeah.
So you know what? Cold showers,
Yeah.
Kilimanjaro, all those pains and pressures. What I do is I kind of, I microaggression myself. I micro-pain myself. I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro because it's painful, and once I do it, I will accomplish something, but I'm going to cry, and I basically force myself into a position that is going to be so horrible, I have to overcome it, and then I have the win.
Awesome. Yep. Yep.
And let me tell you, it is pitch black, 49% oxygen, negative 15 degrees on the top of an African mountain. I can't feel my feet or my hands. My water is frozen solid. I haven't had a drink in 2 hours. We were allowed to stop for 2 minutes to have tea, but by the time they poured it out of the thermos and gave it to me, it was iced tea. This is how quickly it was.
Oh my goodness.
They did this. It was steaming hot. They handed it across to me. By the time I got it to my mouth, it was iced tea.
Yep.
And you know what? At that moment in time, I could have cried just by looking at me. But I would never trade away what I experienced at that moment in time.
Yeah.
You know, and there wasn't some miraculous light that came up at the end. I mean, okay, there was.
Yeah.
We hit the peak at sunset. So figuratively, there was no some miraculous light that came up at the time. But when I arrived, there wasn't some, like, Jesus didn't, nice job, Matthew.
Yeah.
You know, no Red Sea parted, no parties. I got to the top of that mountain, and guess what? It was as quiet, cold, dark, and miserable as it was 13 and a half steps before the summit.
Yep.
But that also is a lesson. Couldn't mess that up anymore, Cade. Cade, I just spilled my water. You're gonna have to
count
snip
that
in
as
that.
an outtake?
So I just knocked over that and kicked it.
Hi, Matthew. So I know we talked about some of your recent accomplishments now, and add on top of that, I mean, you're killing it at work. You've tripled your volume from last year. I mean, it's truly amazing. Actually, you tripled your volume last year over 2019, and you're already on pace to even crush that this year by a significant amount. So that's fantastic. You've climbed Kili. You've been on top of the highest point on Africa, the continent of Africa, which is just pretty awesome to say.
Amazing.
I know you've been sober for now 3 years.
897
there we
days.
go. Not that you're counting
Not
in
that I'm
any way,
counting.
shape, or form. Yep.
And it's funny is that someone asked me the other day why I know it so well. It's not because it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
Yeah, absolutely. As you should be.
897 days in a world where alcohol is like the king.
Yeah,
So that's good.
true that. But I know about 10, 11 years ago there was a switch that flipped,
Yeah.
and I know that was a big deal, and I want to talk about that. But I want to go back a little bit further first, because I know you had some things when you were growing up that were let's just say interesting.
Without a doubt, I have a past that is worthy of taking a second look at, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I think it's to evaluate who I am as a result. Okay, so let's say it better. You are your foundation. You are created. You have a family. You have a legacy. You have established things that people have done or do in your family their entire lives. And when you are born, you go right into their flow. So in my instance, my flow was a multiple generation alcoholic and addict family. I mean, I had some pretty amazing things. There are stories out of my family that would make people blow their mind. My father was an alcoholic. My uncle was an alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My brother was a cross addict. I'm pretty sure my father was as well. When I say cross addict, my brother was alcohol addiction and also cocaine addiction.
Yep.
By the time one of the things obviously we're going to get into is he took his own life a while ago, and a place that we can talk about later, but I'm in a good place with now.
Yeah.
But obviously it was a very huge defining moment of my life. He took his life 30 days after my second marriage. I got married, and 30 days to the day after I got married, he took his own life.
Yep.
It was as the result of one of the nightmares. We conducted an intervention the night before to help.
Yep.
Looks like it didn't help.
Nope.
And it was a really long period. But I tell you what, it's basically the equivalent of being raw. And when I say raw, I mean like when you get a cut or a sore or a burn and you feel that continual pressure, pain, and or burning sensation.
Yep.
That's basically how my heart felt. I felt like my heart was raw. So Growing up, though, and here's not the news flash. My brother committing suicide was not surprising. That was the reason why I had the intervention. He'd also attempted twice before.
Yep.
So it was something that it become commonplace as far as a outcome. Like, and I say it like that because there are a lot of people's lives where suicide is not an outcome that is even in the listing of things that could happen.
Yeah.
In my world, I am almost positive, I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize, but 4 of my 5 uncles on my grandfather's side attempted or committed suicide.
Wow.
My brother committed suicide, attempted 3 times, 2 by hanging, 1 by overdose. My father, who has since passed, and I say father, he was basically, I had no relationship with him to speak of, but he was a cross addict as well, and he died of cancer as a result of, funny part is, not funny, but as a result of several different factors. I mean, he had also like hepatitis C, if I'm not mistaken, and it was as a result of, what he had done earlier as a young man.
Yep.
But he followed in the path of his father, and there would have been a period of time for 30 years where I would have felt like I wasn't comfortable talking about this with you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that I like kicking the people who are in the grave.
Yep.
But I got to be real honest when I say this, so I'm going to look you directly in the eye. If I don't talk about this, about my father, my uncle, my brother, and all my other uncles, then this could happen again.
Yeah.
And if you want to find the core or the deepness or where I am with how I'm feeling and what I'm doing, it is all based in one thing: making sure this never happens again.
True.
Putting the wall up, putting the stop up where this doesn't happen again. And what we did is we kicked the can down the road for decades as Kirks. Decades where no one was strong enough. And I don't really have a problem with calling out anybody because we're where we are today because of the folks that wouldn't stand up.
Yep.
And my son will stand up, and my youngest will stand up, and my eldest will stand up, and I will stand up, and my wife will stand up, and my adopted father will stand up, and my mother will stand up to say, this stops with us.
Yeah.
So growing up through that life, watching the alcoholism, the things that go along with it. Now, I don't need to go into specific, calling people out, but there are things that go along with massive alcoholism, like debauchery and, drug use and, sexual indiscretions and not making the right choices for your family and probably not doing the right things in front of your kids. Where I lucked out, though, was that I had my mom. Mm-hmm. My mom, I would call, I would loosely, like, she's steadfast. And I was going to say something like a ship, but I don't want to tag her as that. My mother is unwavering. My mother has been through the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. So when I say that I experienced alcoholism and drug use, my mother was married to that man.
Yeah.
My mother had to watch my brother become that man.
Yeah.
My mother had to bury her own child.
Yep.
And as much as I would never want to go through that again with my brother, ever, 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 ever. And if I could trade my entire life to give my mom her son back, I would. But the lessons that came out of that, for the rest of us, there's a very high likelihood 10 of us could have lived mediocre lives. Mm-hmm. Or 1 could pass and 9 of us would leave extraordinary lives. So I guess that's one point where you need to decide whether it was worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tomorrow I'd take my brother back in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. I would take my brother back in a heartbeat, but not learning the lessons of his death would be the best way to dishonor his life.
Yeah.
So bringing my boys in the name of my brother to the place we're at right now, where my son's friends are like, your dad is the greatest dad. When my son says that is what his friends are saying about me. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
When my son says, Dad, you're jacked. When my son says, he said the other day, no one can beat my dad at anything. Because guess what I couldn't say about mine?
Yeah.
Not one of those damn things.
Yep.
And, he wasn't strong enough to be the strength that his sons needed. Mm-hmm. But the good news is, Jeff, that's why I am.
Yeah. Yep.
I am strong enough to be the best dad ever, or at least try to be, because I'm going to fail, falter. But I am strong enough to be who I am today. And I don't want to give him credence or credit. But if he hadn't been who he was, I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah.
And if his father hadn't been who he was, I wouldn't be who I am. And in all due time, and in all good measure, and all those things, and things come when they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Growing up with that, as I said, there are the things that go along with that. When you're 9 and you're holding your mom because she's crying, that affects you, man.
Yeah.
She's the strongest person I've ever met in my entire life. And I had to hold her. That says a lot.
Yeah.
She's still functioning. Let me tell you something, man. You are a good dad. And I consider myself one. If you took my son away for a week, I don't even know that I could breathe.
Yeah.
You take him away forever?
Yeah. I know.
You know, and those are the moments, man, where you realize that I need to cherish this thing that I have or these steps that we've made. If we go no further than this podcast ever, Jeffrey, I will be okay with what I have shown my sons. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, and it isn't a shot, it's just the truth, because we can't pussyfoot around this type of thing. We can't act like, or we are so good at sweeping things under a table nowadays where we just act like it doesn't affect us to our cores, but it does. My father's alcoholism and his behaviors affected me. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't make the change, if I just kicked the can down the road, then we would have 2 more guys that were the way I was when I was 35.
Yep.
I won't let that happen.
Yep.
My son, my youngest, I had this discussion last night. He doesn't want to drink. He's 17 years old and he considers himself an athlete. He has goals and he has dreams, and he doesn't drink because we made a pact 897 days ago that if he never drinks, I'll stop drinking. So yesterday, I realized I hadn't really talked to him about it in a while. And goodness gracious, you know, teenagers, you never know what they're doing when they're... And I said, can I ask you a question? And he was like, yeah, what's up? Over there crushing some ZD, watching the Red Sox game. He goes, what's up? And I was like, how are you with the drinking? Oh, man, no. It was great. It was a visceral reaction, Jeffrey. A visceral, physical, emotional, no, I don't feel like I want to drink. No. Face, emotion, heart, clenching of fit. I see it all. And I went, all right. He's like, that's just not for me.
Yep.
But if I told you, I mean, let's be real about it. I don't say this to him because he's 17, but if I told you that it's so funny for me, like the way people evaluate things. If I said to you, I'm going to add this one thing to this and it's going to ruin everything. You want some? And everybody was like, yeah, give me all of it. That's what drinking is to me. Mm-hmm. You know, and it came to a point before of me making a personal decision to get rid of it because of what my life had been up to that point for my family and my mom and my dad and my friends and everybody like that. But honestly, now that I'm through the woods and I look at it now, I am not afraid to stand up and say, I think that it literally is one of the reasons for the destruction of so many things, regardless.
Yeah.
We drink ourselves every Friday and Saturday to the point of being 8 years old. The most respected men that I know, I have seen act like 12-year-olds. Mm-hmm. But we all lie and say it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not okay to be drunk and get in a fight at a hotel bar when you are 44 years old. Not that I did that, but I've seen people do it. It is not okay to air your dirty laundry with your wife in front of 50 of your friends. It's not okay.
Yeah.
And it's not okay to not say what it is, which is you are pouring ethanol down your throat on a daily basis, and that ethanol is the most addictive substance you've ever come across, and it's ruining your life, even in a small capacity. And I had to come to that, and I had to tell my sons. My eldest, who's a Marine, a sergeant, Marine,
Yep.
which we say that because we know what? They drink, right? Yep. Young military men drink. Why are we okay with that? To the point of that. My son was in Japan, and he would FaceTime me around the smoke pit where people were outside having cigarettes, which whatever, they're young. but they would be plowed. And we're okay. We're okay with that. We've made it okay. We need to talk about things that aren't okay. But one last tangent on this. With what's okay and what's not okay, because we go too far.
Yep.
And where I think we've gone too far is this. We have been very good lately at identifying trauma, emotion, things that trigger you. Okay? You're allowed to identify that. And there is a line. This isn't okay, this isn't okay, this isn't okay. And we can stop and go, this isn't okay. And I recognize that I don't like this. You know, we're not, whether it be alcohol or whether it be self-talk or whether it be self-care or whether it be not meditate or whatever it is you want to do nowadays in our world. The problem is that we take it one step further and make it unacceptable. When I say unacceptable, I mean where you're demanding other people's change their behaviors to modify to yours. So when I say this, I want to make it again clear, and I keep putting these caveats in because I don't want it to, sound bites and clips can be taken the wrong way. I don't believe drinking is the way to go. I believe the facts are that it is poison. I do believe that I have never seen any situation in which drinking made it better. We can at least agree on that. Yep. No one has ever woken up and said, dang, I wish I had a hangover today. No one has ever woken up and said, darn it, I wish I got plowed last night.
Yep.
But we've all woken up and said, man, I wish I didn't get plowed last night.
Or what did I do
What did I do? How many times? Let's be real.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you are Jeff Very of Atlantic Bay Mortgage or Matthew Kirk of Atlantic Bay Mortgage or whether it's the person driving down the street right now. Every single one of us has picked up the phone to see what we said the night before at some point in time drinking. And every single one of us have went, oh.
Yep.
It's not okay. It's not okay to promote it. It's not okay to tell people this is the way that it is. It's not okay. Like, we are modifying my son's college experience because we want him to have the college experience, but then we had to sit down as adults and realize what college experience did we want him to have.
Yep.
I don't want him getting plowed every night. Good story, Mr. Alcoholic. So, growing up, didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't drink at all. I didn't drink till I was 18 years old. I didn't have one damn drink. Never put one in my mouth. Didn't even care. I was not going to be an alcoholic like the rest of my family. I had the baseline for this life way younger. I knew where I wanted to be. And basically, if you think about it, all I really did was take that was 95. I took 295 to get here. I knew where I wanted to be then, so I didn't drink. Well, my buddy got an Air Force scholarship, so we were going to celebrate. And what had we been told? Here's the truth. You don't have to admit it, but what do you do when you celebrate?
Yeah.
How do you celebrate in America?
Yeah, with a drink.
Crack it open.
Yeah.
Crack it open. So he went out and he got the cook at the restaurant we worked at to buy us 4 Old English 800 malt beverages, 40-ounce Old E's. Yes. And I had never drank before.
That was your first drink.
So he drank one, and I'm sitting in his bedroom scared out of my mind. In my mind, being young, I thought the moment I took the drink, I was going to become an alcoholic. But my friends were all doing it because that's the way you partied when you're 18 years old. That's the way you celebrate. So what did I do? I pounded an Old English 800 right there and then. It took me less than 3 minutes. I had no idea what I was doing. We didn't do a lot of talking about drinking. Oof. I never exposed myself to it. My parents knew that I didn't drink, so we didn't have a lot to do with it. Well, I subsequently obviously felt horrible. I grabbed the side of the window on the second floor, and I put my head through a screen and threw up 2 floors down onto my friend's father.
Oh.
That was my first drinking experience. Master Sergeant Haruza. Oh. Master Sergeant Haruza was not very happy with that.
I don't think he was amused.
No. But that's how you celebrate. And what did it do, though? There was a moment in time when the buzz felt real good, Jeff.
Yeah.
There was a moment in time, right after chugging it and feeling like crap, where I was like, oh. Now my chemical brain, my Kirk brain, my 15-generation alcoholic cross-addict family went, ooh.
Yeah.
That felt kind of cool. And then from that on out, I remember 5 months later, let's call a spade a spade. Why not 5 months later, I went to Colorado University to go visit my friend, that same friend,
Yep.
who had the Air Force Academy. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning with 2 bottles of tequila duct taped to my hands and 1 duct taped to my chest,
Oh my goodness.
because that was what they did to new people. I didn't know I could die.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't know that was an option from drinking a bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
I woke up with my head under a toilet in a common bathroom with no one around me in a place I'd never been before.
Even pre-COVID, that's just disturbing.
It was 1993. I didn't even, and that was the beginning. And then I joined the military.
Yeah.
Don't join the military if you don't want to perpetuate your family's past histories. And again, I'm not judging military, but
Yeah.
there is a culture. You got to break every hour if you smoked. Guess what I did?
Yep.
Picked up smoking.
Yep.
At 10 minutes of every hour, you got a break
Yeah.
if you smoked. 2 + 2 = 4, Jeff.
Yeah. Not if you didn't.
There's a 20-year addiction to Marlboros because of 10 minutes outside. Again, the Navy didn't make me drink. The Navy is an absolutely outstanding organization.
Absolutely.
Love them with all of my heart. Super supporter of the military. Not their fault whatsoever. What is the issue is our cultural direction of accepting binge drinking and or things like that. And the problem for me specifically is that my family is not hardwired to avoid that.
Yeah.
That societal curve that we're in right now matches my familial curve that I lived in, so it just pairs, man.
Yeah.
We going to get plowed tonight?
Yep.
Such a hindrance.
Yep.
Such a hindrance, and it just, it defined who my family was for so very long, and I don't want it to anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, and if I have to be the antithesis of alcohol to make it happen, I'm not dumb. I know people are still going to be drinking.
Yeah.
I have a dream for alcohol, and the way that it goes is that I would like big alcohol to be looked at like big tobacco at the very least.
Yeah, I know. I saw you're thinking on that lately, and I like where you're going.
But look at it though. Let's really evaluate it. In the last year and a half, what have you seen? Non-alcoholic beverages have gone through the roof, Jeff.
Yeah. No, it's
Heineken
great.
Double Zero, Bud Select, Athletic Brewing Company. When I used to go to Total Wine and saw the non-alcoholic section, it was 2 shelves in a 4-foot section. They now have a 24-foot shelvings of craft non-alcoholic
That's
beers.
awesome.
Liars makes it now. They have their own brands. Seedlip makes their own brands. 9 out of every 10 restaurants in this area are making mocktails. It's becoming
That's awesome.
a thing.
Yep.
People are doing it now. If you ask too, these kids, these college kids, the ones that are in their 20s and such, guess who don't binge drink anymore?
That's awesome.
The actual tide is turning. So when I say I want big tobacco to be, big alcohol to be looked at like big tobacco, I don't think I have to do much to just be an advocate, because it looks like
Yeah.
it's going that way anyway. My son's girlfriend has never my son's current girlfriend, her mother and father are sober.
That's awesome.
I'm sober. She doesn't ever want to drink. He doesn't ever want to drink.
Yep.
They were attracted to each other. That means, let's do the math. My decision 897 days ago to change myself as a person made my son's first girlfriend, the one that he seeked and wanted to be around, recognize her for athletic ability, educational prowess, a good social upbringing, and great parents, had him attracted to them,
Yep.
not attracted to the typical binge drinking, whatever it is, lifestyle. He seeked that life as a result of my choice. Do you think he's just going to change that tomorrow? That he's going to start dating binge drinking partiers? No. They work out together.
Yeah.
My son here's 2021. My son gets up on Wednesdays at 5:30 in the morning to go work out with his girlfriend at Mount Trashmore outside every single week. Does that exist in 1990?
Yeah.
Does that exist in 1995? Does that exist in 2005? No.
No.
That's where we're at.
Yep.